August 1914. The Great War has begun, and the Western Front is arguably the most critical theatre of operations. The German army is in the midst of deploying its famous Schlieffen Plan, a massive scythe-like sweep intended to knock France out of the war in 6 weeks. Opposing them, the French cling rigidly to their own military doctrine, the famously aggressive Plan XVII. According to this directive, the French army was to launch a massive all-out attack directly into Germany. While French forces charged east into Alsace-Lorraine, German armies were sweeping down from the north through Belgium, threatening to crush France within weeks. Conventional history often portrays the French High Command as completely blind to this danger, painting a picture of incompetent generals obsessed with attack at any cost. This interpretation, however, is incomplete. It's a lesser-known fact that just a few years earlier, in 1909, France possessed a very different operational concept known as Plan XVI. What distinguished it from the disastrous plan that was ultimately executed, and what might have happened had France followed this earlier strategy? Unlike the all-out offensive of 1914, Plan XVI embodied a more cautious defensive-offensive approach. Its architects emphasized flexibility, centering the plan on a powerful maneuver reserve held back from the frontier. This centrally positioned force was intended to be redeployed rapidly by rail once German intentions became clear. If the Germans attacked primarily in the east toward Alsace-Lorraine, the reserve could be shifted to meet them. If they violated neutral territory via Luxembourg or the Ardennes, emerging toward Verdun or Sedan, the reserve could instead swing north to strike their flank. The plan was rational and adaptable. Its principal weakness lay in an underestimation of Germany's ability to mobilize sufficient forces to extend its envelopment far beyond the Ardennes, through the open plains of northern Belgium toward the Channel coast. This vulnerability was recognized by General Victor-Constant Michel. In January 1911, Michel became Vice President of the Superior Council of War, making him France's designated wartime Commander-in-Chief. Upon reviewing Plan XVI, he was among the very few senior French officers to grasp the likely scale of the German maneuver. Michel anticipated a massive white envelopment through northern Belgium, extending well beyond what existing French plans assumed. To counter this, Michel proposed substantial revisions. He argued that French deployments would need to extend much farther north into Belgium in order to confront the German right wing effectively. However, France lacked sufficient active duty troops to cover such an expanded front. His solution was bold. Michel proposed integrating reserve units, older men and recently recalled civilians directly into active formations. By pairing battalions of professional soldiers with battalions of reservists, France could significantly increase its effective frontline strength. This would allow for stronger northern coverage while still retaining forces capable of maneuver elsewhere. Despite the military logic of the proposal, the French High Command rejected it. By this time, the general staff was increasingly dominated by younger officers who championed l'offensive à outrance, the doctrine of attack to the limit. They believed victory could only be achieved through relentless offensive action, moral force, and élan. Michel's plan was rejected for 2 primary reasons. First, the reserves. Many professional officers deeply distrusted reservists, regarding them as physically inferior, insufficiently trained, and politically unreliable. Second, the strategy itself was ideologically unacceptable. Waiting to meet the Germans in Belgium was perceived as defensive, and to much of the French military leadership at the time, Defense was synonymous with defeat. War Minister Adolphe Messigny denounced Michel's proposals as dangerous and a threat to national security. In late July 1911, Michel was forced to resign. He was replaced by General Joseph Joffre, a quiet but firm advocate of the offensive. Under Joffre, the flexibility inherent in Plan XVI was steadily dismantled. Troops were pushed forward toward the frontier, the Central Maneuver Reserve lost its operational purpose, and planning increasingly focused on immediate offensives into Alsace-Lorraine and the Ardennes. By 1913, Plan XVI had been formally abandoned. In its place stood Plan XVII, a strategy built around comprehensive immediate offensives. There was to be no deep waiting posture, no central swing force, only simultaneous attacks intended to seize the initiative at all costs. When war finally came in 1914, Michel's strategic fears were largely vindicated. German armies swept through Belgium in overwhelming strength, far exceeding the scope anticipated by French planners. French reserve units, when eventually committed, fought stubbornly and effectively, undermining long-held assumptions about their supposed inferiority. Plan XVI, and especially Michel's proposed revisions, remains one of the great what-ifs of military history. While it would not have guaranteed French victory, a more flexible deployment, earlier integration of reserves, and stronger northern coverage might have blunted the German right wing sooner and mitigated the scale of the disaster during the Battle of the Frontiers. Instead, France entered the war under Plan XVII and paid dearly for it. Over 300,000 casualties in August 1914 alone, including 27,000 soldiers killed on August 22nd, the bloodiest single day in French military history.